Good day, folks. This is Soul. I am at drinking age, and welcome back to. Ow, dude! Ow! What are you doing?
Intruder alert. Back off. I'm gonna cut you deep, son.
Dude, Bob, it's me. Soul. Hey, it's Soul. Stay breezy. Something. Toilet. Whatever.
Oh, what happened to your face?
I shaved. Man, I lost that bet from last week. Totally worth it. So here I am. Naked face, and all that hair has moved up to here, I guess, and, dude, what was that?
I had extra.
Hey, Al, you know the routine, and, let's run this ticker over here with the sponsors, who I am so incredibly grateful for. It's them and you, who have been watching me since the beginning, or maybe you're just joining us for the first time, but it's folks like you that got me recognized as one of Shadowlands' first alpha testers. So anyway, we got newcomers this week, including Julian, Andrew, Kenneth, and N7 Kittens, and Katrina Stars too. Thank you again for supporting me, and if you want to join the fam, check out the Patreon link below. All week, I've been pouring through data and more data, and the roller coaster of emotion that is the alpha has only just begun. I'll be doing the best that I can to cover the development process as it's happening, so don't forget to subscribe. But every weekly, I'm going to round up the non-spoiler news that matters the most, or at least, the stuff that I finally get around to covering, so let's get right to it. Blizzcon is still up in the air, but things are looking a little bit grim. A recent statement by Blizzard is acknowledging recent world events and how it's affecting the planning of their yearly practice of, getting Taylor Swift to not show up at closing ceremonies. Cowards. Here's a reading from the statement. While we're all hopeful things will look better later in the year, the bottom line is that at this point it's too early to know whether BlizzCon 2020 will be feasible. The health of our community, employees, and everyone who helps with the show is our top consideration. It might be a few months before we know for certain if or how we'll proceed, but as soon as we have a meaningful update, we'll share it. Personally though, nah. Unless in the next 3 months or 2 months a vaccine is available and distributed worldwide and everyone gets it and it's cheap, I don't see holding BlizzCon as the right thing, the responsible thing to do. Asking people to make plans that much closer to November could be really troublesome. So would dying. I'm still down for a virtual convention with live panels from a studio and VODs and stream parties that tear into Blizzard over, whatever this year's virtual ticket rewards are. On the 9th of April, the Shadowlands Alpha began, opening the doors to Bastion, and it's a really beautiful zone that's like one part divine and another part melancholy and another part, those are spoilers. We got to explore the almost full breadth of class changes, Covenant abilities, and a first look at Elysium Hold, the Covenant Sanctum of the Kyrians. Videos of what I've covered so far are in the description below. The devil's in the details though, and there are tons of them that I didn't cover throughout this week, so I'm going to do my very best to just kind of rapid fire as much information into your brains as possible, so strap in. The squish is squishier than realized. We're getting squished from 120 levels down to a maximum of 60, but we're also getting a massive item level squish as well, resulting in, a stat squish too, kind of. Pictured here is my main from both live and alpha. It's a comparison that details a really big dip in health pools, but otherwise not a lot of changes in combat stats, other than that big loss to parry. Probably thanks to combat ratings being adjusted, or a disproportionately large subtraction to strength, that sort of thing. Many area of effect spells are being reined in, and will have a target cap of 5 to 8 targets. This isn't a game-wide thing, as I had first thought. Consider it more like a pass from Blizzard to go around and clear up what abilities are actual AoE, and what abilities are more like multi-target cleaves. So, for example, Paladin abilities like Consecration and Shield of the Righteous, they'll still have a familiar AoE feel just as before. But Divine Storm, a Retribution ability, that's going to have a target cap of 5 targets. So you ought to double check on the alpha or on wowhead.com to see which of your favorite abilities are going to be affected. The why is pretty obvious. AoE is king in most content, and its prevalence has, some would say, It's dumbed down the strategy of throughput to where you just pull a big ass pack of mobs, the biggest that you can handle, stun it, and AoE burst them down till they're dead and repeat. But you might feel differently about this. I mentioned paladin abilities because personally this isn't going to change my routine one bit, but this is also one of those instances where many players are going to lose a little bit of something, and this will be especially jarring because not everyone is getting nerfed. The routine is going to change for some and not for others, but anyway, I think that's in the future, as long as we're maybe seeing fewer packs that have tons of little mobs in them, or worse, like mobs that summon other mobs. This is an issue that sounds bad to talk about, but in practice, it may not be nearly as noticeable. This one's really big news, folks. So far, there's no plan to reintroduce the notion of, or I guess the design philosophy of, moments of surprise, like Titanforging, Warforging, or Corruption, and even socket bonuses are being discussed. Tertiaries like Avoidance could still roll, but for the most part, gear is gear. What you see in the dungeon journal is what you're going to get. There's no Azeroth to rotate, there's no corruption to shuffle or manage. This is great news to many, but we're already seeing conversations about, well, what's going to keep players going now? We're returning to a world of best in slot, so what's going to motivate us to keep farming this same content now? Reportedly, there's going to be a noticeable drop in the amount of gear that we receive, and we've already been introduced to an example back in the Shadowlands announcement. Each week, instead of jumping around between your PvP chest and your Mythic Plus chest or whatever chest, a single cache will be available that lets us choose one piece of gear based on the things that we did in the previous week with regards to PvP, dungeons, raids, and maybe Tourgas. But we're bound to learn a lot more later, so stay tuned. It won't be ready to test for at least a few more weeks, but Tourgas' initial design will include some sort of limitation to prevent folks like me from endlessly running it. According to an interview that Sloot did with Ian, and I'm going to have a link to that in the description below, they don't want a situation where players feel compelled to practice Tourgas for rewardless runs just for the sake of, getting better and not letting their friends or teammates down. But it's not going to be as punitive as Withered Training or Horrific Visions either, considering the fact that Tourgas uses roguelike elements and bonuses, which could easily lead to disastrous or wasted runs if the bonuses that you roll are bad. You can definitely count on me putting Tourgas under the microscope once it's ready to be looked at. Speaking of bonuses though, WoW had uncovered these mysterious buffs to certain Covenant abilities that for now we can't make heads or tails of. I'm going to make a guess though, and suggest that these ability enhancements are forms of anima bonuses, these temporary boosts to your powers when you enter Tourgas. So, for example, Cragman's Fable over here modifies the Monk Covenant ability Weapons of Order while you're in Tourgas, obviously. But here are a few more specific to the Paladin's Divine Toll ability, aka Fan of Shields. Here's one. Divine Toll is automatically cast when casting Avenging Wrath and when it ends. Or casting Divine Toll also instantly stuns all enemies within 30 yards. Or Divine Toll has a chance to instantly kill enemy targets. I think I'll pick that one up just because of the name. These ability enhancements are freaking ridiculous and OP, but it's these anima boons that are gonna get you to climb higher and higher on the floors of Tourgas, and I can't wait to start testing it in a few weeks. According to a Wowhead article, you'll be able to learn flight training at level 25, which is halfway through the legacy leveling experience, and I think that's not so great. Consider Cataclysm, which let you fly right away, and that in Warlords of Draenor and Legion and Battle for Azeroth, you can fly right away if you earn Pathfinder. But after Shadowlands, new characters who get past their starting experience, whether it's their normal one or Exile's Reach, they can't fly until 25? I think that won't go over too well for numerous reasons, but I'm just gonna cut to the chase and tell Blizzard that, you know what? Just make flying available at level 10. And here's why. Brand spanking new players, new accounts, new everything. They're going to play through Exile's Reach from levels 1 through 10, and then according to these original announcements, they're going to be shuffled away to battle for Azeroth. For them, flying won't be a thing for them anyway because of Pathfinder requirements, so that's not a big deal the way that I see it. Today, veteran players can potentially fly at the start of pretty much every expansion after vanilla, whether the barrier is gold or an heirloom training scroll thingamajigger or Pathfinder. That sort of consistency ought to be maintained. Ergo, make flight training available at 10 and done. You're welcome. One of the cooler features to come from the alpha is a new quest marker that highlights which quests are considered main story quests, while others are given their usual plain old exclamation point. This is revolutionary.
No one's ever done this.
WoW came first. This evolved from the familiar orange quest marker that was once used to identify legendary level quests and then later war campaign stuff. Now, instead of confusing people with a different shade of yellow, we have a clear marker to help us find out what to pick up to move through the story and what to consider for later. There's also an extremely useful marker that appears on your screen, right here, to show you the general area for quests you're currently tracking. This is a really big leap forward that lets players put a stop to keeping our eyes locked on the minimap, or for me, annoyingly opening and closing the map every couple of seconds. Controversy is abound with these new character customization options in Shadowlands. The team over at Wowhead has been painstakingly putting together samples of what they found from data mining, so take all of this with a grain of salt. These options are not testable in the alpha. Not everything we see may be going live. For example, blue-eyed, dark-skinned blood elves could be reserved for NPCs, but I'm only saying that because, again, it's not testable in the alpha yet. This could change as soon as the next build, and if everything we're seeing is going to go live, I think this is fantastic. It's more than what I would have thought delivered. I don't plan on changing the skin color of my main. I mean, I don't exactly self-identify with it in that sense. His look was inspired long ago. But broadening customizations for players who want to express their characters in different ways, ain't nothing but good. For those who were in the Wowhead comments spouting conservative nonsense, I mean, lighten up. It's just skin color.
Actually, it was more about blood elves getting blue eyes.
Oh, well, damn, alright, blue eyes, here I come. We were told of the great unpruning back at Blizzcon, and now with the Alpha Live, we can look at what new abilities have been given back to us, which brought the conversation of the global cooldown straight to the top, right up there with blue-eyed blood elves. As you know, many abilities were added to the global cooldown in the Battle for Azeroth, causing an uproar, and since then, Blizzard has been slowly rolling them back while maintaining a certain philosophy. Lining up a bunch of cooldowns, trinkets, and more onto a single macro is effectively dumbing down the game, which has started other debates and moments of hypocrisy. Today though, with more buttons added to our toolbars, I've been pushed to give my own take on it, and very important, this is just me speaking for myself. One of the buttons that paladins are going to get back is called Hammer of Wrath, a holy power builder that's only usable when a target is at low health. It's on the global cooldown, and for the most part, I have very little room to use it. That's mostly because it does like a really pathetic amount of damage, and it's still the alpha and all that stuff, but at the moment, it just doesn't feel great to use unless I have no other buttons to press instead, which is a very narrow window, like maybe once every 20 or so seconds. And that's kind of sad, considering that this is supposed to be one of those like iconic finishing moves. It's like, oh yeah, here we go, guys, this is it, bang, and yeah. So maybe Blizzard just do a couple of things to doll it up, add some extra effects, a little bit more damage or something, and on top of that, take it off of the global. It would be a nice and effective button to press that makes my overall flow a little bit faster. That's just one suggestion that I have out of like dozens that are bound to be incoming, but yeah, once again, you're welcome. And that's gonna be it for me for now, folks. Check back to my previous videos this week for more in-depth info on Covenant abilities and changes and skills and more. This has been an absolutely insane week, all thanks to me sacrificing like 10 years of my life, yeah. But you folks at home and on the toilet, you are awesome. It's you that got me here checking out all this alpha stuff, and I'm not gonna waste this opportunity. Of course, it's the weekend, and, I'm not gonna let go of my weekend either. So for now, let's enjoy ourselves as we turn the page and move on from Battle for Azeroth and into the Shadowlands. Sort of. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed yourself, and to subscribe for more of this, tons and tons of Shadowlands coverage, and all things Warcraft. I'll see you soon. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.